first game, the Lions and the Bills. Like, this game's good. Matter of fact, if you don't have a ticket, I'd go get one now because it might be the biggest crowd at Ford Field since a Monday night game in 2011.
That was one of the first things I thought of after this game on the plane ride home is like, man, this place is going to be, because it's been good. I mean, it's been electric, and I can only imagine now. I already know it's going to be on fire. So, and, you know, it's going to be great. Yeah, we're competitive, and we come out on top by the end of this game, you know, then we did things right. But if we play good, clean football, I like our odds.
It's going to be on fire. Stacey Dales is there. Bucky Brooks back with me. Stacey's in Detroit, where Dan Campbell might bite a turkey leg on Thursday. How's that building doing, Dales?
Ooh, this building is bumping. I got to tell you guys, you can't buy a ticket, Andrew, because, as you just alluded to, it's sold out. And it might be the second biggest crowd we've ever seen at a Lions game in the history of this franchise. That game in 2011, 67,861. So it's going to approach that number here tomorrow for Thanksgiving, but really because of this Lions squad that has won 3 in a row, and they are hot as you can get right now, and might call it the turnover differential since week 9. They lead the NFL with a +6 turnover differential, but I call it just an embattled football team that has been through the gamut, and they believe in each other, they trust each other, and the energy is off the charts. I just talked to Taylor Decker, their starting left tackle, and I said, what shifted, right, with this 3-game win streak back during that first of it, which was the Green Bay Packers? And he said, you know, we all thought Dan Campbell was sounding like a broken record, like we're close, we're right there. He said he was right, but we weren't getting the job done. We weren't making plays to finish the game, and that was on us. And then he said the next part of this win streak and the buy-in, which they've been doing all season long, he said it's been huge regardless of our record. We believe in these coaches. We know they are legit. And as for the head coach, Dan Campbell, he said he has been unwavering. What you see in those pressers is what he is. And as far as the vibe, Bucky and Andrew, and the atmosphere, Taylor told me there is a giddy excitement about this game. I talked to other players, guys. I had goosebumps because these Lions, they want people to know they are for real. And Bucky, this game would be an ultimate test for them to show that, but they believe they can win it on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Stacey, throughout the regular season, there are always these measuring stick games that teams are using the opponent to kind of see where they are in the process. The Detroit Lions are a rebuilding organization that's trying to get back into being a very competitive team. Well, Dan Campbell can simply point to the Buffalo Bills as the gold standard because the Buffalo Bills are the heavyweights, one of the heavyweights in the league. And so for a team, the Detroit Lions, they pride themselves in being tough and being physical and wanting to take the game to the opponent. Well, now they have an opportunity to meet the heavyweight in the center of the ring, and they can throw a haymaker. And how the Lions respond to the Buffalo Bills and all the things that the Buffalo Bills do can really set the table for how they finish the season and how they go into next year feeling about their chances as emerging as a playoff contender. This is a huge game for Detroit because this gives them a chance to earn respect. And because it's a Thanksgiving Day game, they know everyone is watching to see how far they've come in a short time under Dan Campbell.
Third time in 4 years the Bills are playing on Thanksgiving as well. Last year they were in New Orleans. Stacey Dales in Detroit, where Dan Campbell wants the building on fire. And Bucky Brooks as well. Coming up next, Bucky's back with us.
Right, the Vikings have to keep it close early enough for Cook to be a threat as a runner and a receiver, because you look back over the past few years, the Vikings go as Dalvin Cook goes. If he's out injured, they tend not to play well. When he's healthy, they tend to play well. So they've got to get him going in a game like this. And as you know, with the way the Patriots play, they usually take away the best receiver, our best player. Is that Jefferson or is that Cook? They'll probably start with Cook, so we may see him doing some of the stuff like this, catching the ball. The key, Mark, as I get it back to you, is can the Vikings get their offense going enough to catch an early lead to make this Patriots offense, which has a hard time scoring, play from behind and play catch-up?
Right. It's not as if the Patriots offense is a juggernaut. And going back to that Vikings, though, you know, they're going to be without their left tackle, Christian Darrisaw. We saw how the Cowboys steamrolled that front last week. And now here you got NFL sack leader Matthew Judon coming at you. I think the difference is when the Vikings offense gets down, they just can't manufacture anything. But the Patriots offense has shown that they can manufacture offense and win games despite Mac Jones not being a prolific quarterback. As long as he stays out the way, he's got 4 touchdown passes, 7 interceptions this year. It's almost as if stay out of the way, Mac Jones. The old tenets, they can run the ball, special teams, the defense dominates, and they've shown the Patriots have shown they can win games like that. So the Vikings do not want to get into that sort of tight game with the Patriots because the Patriots and Belichick know how to do that. And Mac Jones, last week got lost. They only had 3 points before the Jones punt return touchdown there. So it's not as if they're prolific, but they know how to win games like that, Andrew.
Yeah, if there's any solace here, and if you want any history or any trend, 3 was the lowest that any Kirk Cousins-led team had ever scored. The previous low with Cousins at quarterback in Minnesota and Washington had been 6 points. Both of those games were followed by games in which Cousins helped the team put up 28. Don't know what that means this week, but Belichick, Cousins in prime time, Thanksgiving, everyone passed out from the turkey with the L-tryptophan.
Sleeping on the floor again?
Sleeping on the floor, yeah. I mean, that's what I do. I just fall asleep on the floor. That's what I do. Okay. Anyway, what Nick Shook does is pick underdogs. He's with us every week, day before Thanksgiving. Good to see you, Nick, yet again. 2.5 points. That's what DraftKings says. The Patriots are dogs tomorrow night. What do you like about the Patriots?
Well, I think a lot of what Mark just talked about, which is the fact that the Vikings have an issue at left tackle not having Christian Darrisaw, and also the Patriots have a great defense in getting after the quarterback. It starts with Matthew Judon leading the league in sacks with 13, but it extends beyond that. And it's part of a Patriots defense that's playing excellent football overall, not just getting after the quarterback. They're 5-1 in their last 6 games, and they've allowed a combined 23 points in their last 3 games. They're playing excellent ball, and that's, of course, the handiwork of Bill Belichick, who owns a 2-0 record in games against Kirk Cousins. Now, they haven't played since 2018, but in those games, Kirk Cousins passer rating below 70. So I think we might get a repeat performance, and that's why I like the Patriots. It doesn't really matter about their offense. Mac Jones and them, they can just do just enough to win. This defense should lead them to victory.
All right, the Titans, according to DraftKings, Nick, are 1.5-point dogs facing the Bengals. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I could be wrong. Were the Titans dogs last week in Green Bay? Like, what's the deal here? Yeah.
Yeah.
And again,
road teams. I think the road teams end up playing a big factor in that. And we learned that lesson the right way last week with the Titans, and I think they're built to win. There's only one way to win this game, though, I think. Maybe 2, but one clear path to victory. You got to dominate time of possession. You keep the ball out of the Bengals' hands, and you ride Derrick Henry, because on paper, statistically, this matchup does not favor them. Tennessee is 30th against the pass. What do we know about the Bengals? They've committed to the spread offense and throwing the ball all over the yard. Cincinnati, though, 17th against the run, and the last time they faced a premier runner, that was Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Those two combined for 143 yards on 34 carries. We know how the Browns ran away with that one. So if you take that approach for the Titans, I think they could have a similar performance and get after Joe Burrow with that defense, which is good at getting after quarterbacks. It's kind of like the same strategy as the last game we talked about. Keep it on the ground, control the ball, win the game.
All right, the Falcons like to run the football as well, Nick. They are 4-point underdogs to Taylor Heineke and the Commanders. Again, the line, according to DraftKings, Ron Rivera just said Carson Wentz is not ready. It'll be Sam Howell backing up Taylor Heineke again. But you like the Falcons here. Why?
Well, unfortunately for them, on paper, it doesn't look good, because this is a team that has routinely abandoned the pass in favor of the run and has won games. But the reason I believe in them is because they've won those games. Arthur Smith, for the 2nd straight season, getting the most out of this talent on this team, which on paper does not look that good. And yet they're 5-6. There's no way they should be, theoretically. But they got close wins over Cleveland, over Carolina at home, and over Chicago, that last one being last week. And the reason I like them in this game is because of how they won that game last week. Cordell Patterson returns, makes an impact in the return game on the ground, and he's still a receiving threat. Marcus Mariota is more than just a passer. He can make a difference on the ground. They have to create angles. They can't run traditionally against this defense. They have to use their speed to their advantage to win this matchup. But because of the way they've been in these close games this year, I have a hard time going against them against a Commanders team that I just don't know what they're going to produce offensively on a week-to-week basis.
Monday Night Football, Nick, which seems like weeks away. It's actually only 5 days away now. 4 days? I can't count. Regardless, it's the Colts at home as the favorite, wearing old school uniforms, and the Fighting Kenny Pickett's, according to DraftKings, are 2.5-point underdogs. And you kind of sort of like the Fighting Kenny Pickett's.
I like the Fighting Kenny Pickett's because they're really the Fighting TJ Watts. Ever since he's returned, they've been rejuvenated on both sides of the ball, and especially on defense. A surprisingly opportunistic unit the Steelers have been recently. They're tied for 8th in turnovers this season. A big part of that is getting after the quarterback, forcing passes into traffic, and catching these tip balls for interceptions. Their offense and the Fighting Kenny Pickett's, they have an uphill battle, especially against this Colts